Changdeokgung Palace. Unlike the other four palaces, Changdeokgung Palace has preserved its original structures. It was built by King Taejong in 1405, and it was used until 1910. It is one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It was added to the list of the World Heritage Sites for these reasons. First, Changdeokgung had a great influence on the development of Korean architecture, garden design, etc. for many centuries. Second, the placement of the palace is in accordance with the feng shui principles, and the layout of buildings follows the Confucian principles, which represented the worldview of Joseon. Third, it is in harmony with its natural surroundings. The palace was destroyed during the Japanese invasion of 1592, and repairs were completed by King Gwangaegun in 1610. After that, it was used as the main royal residence for about 300 years. Looking around the buildings of Changdeokgung. Donhwamun. Donhwamun was built in 1412. It is the oldest gate among the 5 main palace gates in Seoul. A 9-ton bell along with a huge drum were placed on the second floor of its 2-story gate. The bell was rung 33 times at 4 a.m., which announced that people could go around the city. It represented the opening of a day. At 10 p.m., the bell was rung 28 times, and this was in hopes of a peaceful night. Chinese Scholar Tree. Following the Chinese traditions, 3 Chinese scholar trees were planted within the palace. They symbolize the top 3 officials who had meetings under trees like this in China. They also symbolized the top 3 Korean officials. People believed these trees protected the palace against evil spirits. Injeongjeon is the throne hall. It's the main hall where formal events such as morning assembly was held. Kings also received foreign visitors here. Seonjeongjeon. This building was the king's office. It has blue-colored tiles, which were very expensive in the Joseon dynasty. Today, Korea's president also works under a blue-tiled roof building called Cheongwadae. The annals of the Joseon dynasty. During the meetings, everything that the king said and did was recorded by 2 writers. After the king had passed away, these records were published into a book. These books were called the Annals of the Joseon Dynasty, and they are now listed under the Memory of the World program by UNESCO since 1997. Seonjeon. Here, the portraits of former kings were enshrined and ancestral rites were performed. Hyejeongdang. Hyejeongdang was originally the king's sleeping quarters. Later, it also served as a king's office. 대조전. 대조전 was the queen's residence. The dramatic history of Changdeokgung. Changdeokgung was a place of many tragic and dramatic incidents. These are the most well-known ones. First, the origin of the Changdeokgung Palace. King Taejong built the palace for his own use because he did not want to stay in Gyeongbokgung. He considered Gyeongbokgung as a palace with bad energy. What was the reason? In order to become the king, Taejong killed his half-brothers along with their followers. Second, the short reign of King Danjong. It was in Changdeokgung where the young Danjong became the king at the age of 11. He only ruled here for 5 years, after which his uncle, King Sejol, dethroned him. Later, he was killed by the king's order in Yeongwol. Third, the last child of the Korean Empire. Prince Yeongchin was the 7th son of King Gojong and the last crown prince of the Daehan Empire. He was forced to move to Japan and marry a Japanese princess. Their son, Lee Gu, studied in the USA. He met an American woman there and they got married. The Lee family, however, did not want a mixed-race child in their bloodline. Eventually, Lee Gu was forced into a divorce. Lee Gu never remarried and he died lonely in Japan. Nakseonje and Seokbokhan. Nakseonje is a complex of 3 buildings built by King Hunjong in 1847. This complex consists of king's living quarters, a library, a villa for his concubine, Lady Kim, and a residence for the Queen Mother. The king built them to express his love to Lady Kim and his passion for art. Seokbokhan was built in hopes of a son, but King Hunjong was unable to have one. The back garden. 60% of Changdeokgung Palace is made up of the back garden. The garden was used mainly as a place of rest and leisure activities for the royal family, but it also had buildings where the king and the crown prince could experience the everyday life of the people. Buyongji. Buyongji is a square lotus flower pond. The square shape symbolizes the earth, and the round island symbolizes the heaven. Occasionally, the king enjoyed boating and fishing here with his officials. He sometimes enjoyed listening to musical performances. Gyujanggak and Juhamru. This 2-story pavilion was built by King Jeongjo in 1776. The first floor is named Gyujanggak, which served as a library for the king. The second floor is called Juhamru, where the king held many scholarly seminars. Here, he also interacted with his officials as a place for sharing art and learning. They also held various events and enjoyed the beautiful landscape. The inscription on the gate of this pavilion says, "A fish cannot live out of water." This meant that just as the fish needs water, the king needs faithful officials. Ungryucheon. Ungryucheon is the stream that runs through parts of the rare garden. Some kings loved this place very much, so they inscribed poems on rocks and shared a good time with the close people. There is a thatched roof pavilion along with a rice field in one area where the kings could experience the life of a farmer. Yeonggyeongdang. This was the mansion where Crown Prince Hyo-myung held ceremonies for his father, King Sunjo. This building was built in the style of a Yangban hanok, so that the Crown Prince could experience the life of the officials. Although the man's and woman's quarters appear to be separated by a low wall, they are actually connected.